And then when I moved to New York, and he would come, and we'd always go to his concerts. And, you know, we started with, we used to make prank phone calls together. And we were little kids. We had a really great time. And then he came and visited when Paris was born. And then he ended up living at the Waldorf.
So he was there when Paris was first
when she was a few months old.
Really?
So he ended up moving into the Waldorf for 6 months when we were living there for eight years. And then right before he died, he was at the Bel Air Hotel where we were living while we were renovating our home. So he was there about 3 or 4 months. So we got to spend, you know, great time. And
when we talk about misconceptions of Paris, what were the misconceptions about Michael, do you think?
Well, there was not a kinder, more generous, loving, sweet, smart, I can't, the most wonderful father. At the Bel Air, he did not have any nanny at all. And when I'd go to pick up the kids to take them somewhere, he'd be brushing their hair and buttoning up the sweater, and just so warm and wonderful. And I love him. His whole family, they're a really wonderful, beautiful family.
Where were you when you heard that he died?
I had just come back to the hotel.
And how did you hear the news?
My assistant told me, and I literally fell on the floor. And my sister came and picked me up, and we went directly to the house because I thought the children would be there.
Did you go to the hospital when you?
Yes.
And what was the scene there?
Just the children and Mrs. Jackson and all the brothers and sisters, and just everybody was in this room, and just crying and hugging each other, and just in a daze. And this is a father that was so with his children. He's dedicated since they were born to raising and being with them. And then LaToya and Randy took me in to say goodbye. I think if I hadn't, I would never quite in my head believe. Because even though he's a friend, he was such a powerful person.
Was he still alive when you said goodbye to him?
Mm-mm.
Did you say anything?
Yes.
What did you say?
I rubbed his head and his arms and his legs and his feet, and I told him I love him so much, and, you know, whispered some funny things to him, and that was it.
Incredibly sad end to his life, wasn't it?
And he was so fabulous at the hotel. Up early every morning, playing with the kids. Really shocking.
Paris, did you know Michael well?
Yeah, I grew up, just my mom. I remember one of the first memories I have of him was when my mom took us to the music video set of Thriller. And we have the picture still. And I just always loved him. We used to go to his concerts, and he'd bring my sister and I on stage, and we would sing up there, and I just always loved him so much. He was such an amazing man.
And he said to me, he said, Kathy, I'd like to go see Paris. I said, well, she's out of town. Well, I'd like to see her recording studio. I said, okay, all right. And I said, just jump in the car. It was like 8:30 at night. I said, we don't have to get any security right now. Let's just go. Rick will drive. You jump in the back. And so the kids came, and we all went up, and we were up there at Paris's. And he loves to look at everything. So he's looking at all the pictures on the walls, and he loves art, and in her closet, and then at all her collections of Pinocchio and Tinkerbell and all of that. And he said, she reminds me that she's I don't remember, what did he say? Something like, she reminds me sometimes a little of the way, you know, certain things that I like. And he loved the gold and the frames. And
you took him in the studio.
I took him in the studio, and he got to see everything.
Oh, and he was an extraordinary talent, wasn't he? And he took your name, of course, for one of his children. How did that make you feel?
I was honored. I think.
Was it a direct
Well, you
result?
know what? LaToya will tell you the story. When we were younger, we all would say that whoever has the first girl is going to name her Paris. And I had the first girl. So I got to do it first, and then when he had his daughter.
Have you seen the children much since he died?
I saw them a couple weeks ago. We went out and had dinner, and I can't believe how big they are. We went over there about 3 weeks ago.
And are they being well looked after? I mean,
are you kidding?
This is by Michael's
They're
mother.
in a new house, and Mrs. Jackson is there. They have an incredible, beautiful home, great security, and we had a big family dinner, and they went up and did their homework and came down and showed Grandma and had their bath and, you know, said, "Good night, Grandma, I love you," and it was great to see them.
There's a kind of feeling, because I guess of the impending court actions involving the doctor and his death and everything else, that he'd become a sort of pathetic character towards the end, addicted to all this medication and so on. Is that an inaccurate portrayal, do you think?
Well, I can tell you that when he was at the Bel Air Hotel, there was none of that, because he was right underneath where I was, and we talked all the time. In fact, if we would be going somewhere in the daytime, he'd say, 1 o'clock down at the fountain. And if I was 5 minutes late, I mean, he was very on top of it, and he was with his kids. I believe in my heart that as he got into the concert thing, it was hard for him to sleep probably. He was not a drug addict. He had a problem going to sleep. I mean, this is not somebody that recreationally would abuse something. And then I guess the levels just went up and up and up.
What do you think his legacy will be, Michael Jackson?
Well, I think now that he's gone, everybody realizes what a good person, all the wonderful things that he's done for charity. And it's interesting that we don't hear, well, I won't get into any of that, but just he's left 3 beautiful children.
Who will be his legacy, I think.
Absolutely.
Going to take another break. When we come back, Paris, I want to talk to you about your business empire. Let's get to the nuts and bolts of how you've ended up so stinking rich.